Drag racing. That's what we're going to be talking about tonight here on, well, obviously Between the Slicks with yours truly, the Monday Morning Racer. Man, let me say, I had a great Gator Nationals. Humbled, honored to be there. Thank you to Chip Lofton for making it possible. The head honcho of strutmasters.com. Folks, if you haven't checked it out, strutmasters.com now has air suspension for trucks. Matter of fact, the guy who we're going to have on in a few moments, he's got it on his truck. He can talk about it a little bit for us. By the way, I was on the Caruso's show, Caruso Family Racing. You can check them out on Facebook. I was on their show Tuesday night for their Tool Time Tuesday with Power Built Tools. They had Ricky Smith. They had Matt Smith. I was on there. Good show. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. I think we've got a great show tonight. Mike Bucher, who is a first-time winner in NHRA Alcohol Dragster. We've got Colton Jordan for a American Drag Racing League preview as they're racing this weekend. And Richie Stevens Jr. is on the show as well, which I am definitely excited about. Look, some drag racing news right now. Funny Car Chaos. Yes. Love Funny Car Chaos, this nostalgia-esque modern flair, funny car, run what you brung type of group. Well, look, for their finals, their world finals at Alamo City Motorplex this weekend, from what I understand, they have got a $30,000 payout. A field winner will get $7,500. The B field winner will get $5,000. Good to hear that a program in the world of drag racing right now, as 2020, as crazy as it is able to step up and provide a little bit more to its racers. Route 66, no racing, 2021. It sounds like that may very well be true with what we've seen sent out to annual ticket holders. And with that schedule in mind mentioned, I've got to ask this. NASCAR recently, well, they really shook up their schedule. Good to see. What would you like to see for the premier level of drag racing, NHRA Championship drag racing at the pro level, Top Fuel, Funny Car, Pro Stock Motorcycle? What kind of shakeups in the schedule as fans would you like to see? Drop that in the comments section, and we'll chat about that through the night with our panel of esteemed guests. Also, there are rumors afoot concerning the NHRA schedule. Might not finish out with Las Vegas with the current protocols of COVID-19 that the city has got implemented. And also, we might not start at Pomona, California. It may start 2021 Gainesville with the Gator Nationals in March. There's even rumblings of the Fairplex being sold. Things are definitely changing due to 2020, COVID, the world that we're in economically. Nonetheless, I think bright days are ahead in drag racing. Well, a man who definitely had a bright day here recently is Mike Bucher of Samsel Racing, sponsored by strutmasters.com. Little footage for you, and we're going to chat with this first-time winner in just a few moments.
Qualifier, David.
Folks, hello, Sam. How you doing? And now to Mike. Mike, I hope you're having a great night. It's an honor, privilege to have you on the show. And man, I don't think I've said it yet, but congratulations on that first win.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here. That was a cool clip you showed. Jackie Frick's a great driver, and that was a real close one that we won. So that's one of my favorite ones. I like the real close races, even though it's a little bit nerve-wracking when you're in them. But anyway, yeah, it was a weekend that felt like a dream. It felt like we were living in a movie, basically. I remember saying that to Robin Samsel. It just, every round we had the best run, except the first one we would have been, except I made a little mistake. And but the car just ran good, A to B, and it was like a dream, to live out, finally win one.
Hey, you finally won a race there. You did it at Worldwide Technologies Raceway. And look, talk to me about SAMSL racing, because obviously in the day and time we're in right now, people are they know Randy Meyer Racing. They know some of the other bigger names, but I've been watching with particular interest the SAMSL group, getting to know you and seeing them in action, and man, they know how to get the job done. So talk to me about that group.
Well, it's funny. I don't know if I want to promote them too much because I don't want too many people to be trying to buy me out of their car. But you know what? They are humble, neat people. Robin is the owner. He's driven for 20 years. Great driver, great attitude. His son, Tony, you would probably view more as the crew chief. And obviously Robin tuned it forever, but it's slowly handed over to Tony more and more. And then they got a son, Cole, grandson to Robin, Tony's son. And then a really neat crew guy named Grayson, who's just so conscientious, detail oriented. But there are teams out there with a lot of money, the best parts. And what I would say about the SAMSLs is they do more with less than anybody I know. They take a lot of parts that basically are almost throwaway parts, and they repair them, they fix them, and they run so well, and they're so consistent. I mean, this thing is just deadly. 535, 532, 531, 529, 528, 532, 533. And it's a joy to be able to drive for them. And Tony is the best non-driver teacher of drivers that I've ever been around. I have a lot of drivers that help me: Frank Hawley, Antron, Tony Schumacher, Mark Oswald. These are all friends. But Tony's never driven. And it's funny, he picks on me. He can be kind of critical, and part of me wants to strap him in just so he'd be a little more compassionate. But he's told me, the reality is we want to get better, and you got to be able to listen to criticism. And he taught me more than anyone. And just the strategy of how they run the car, how they line it up. And then Robin, as a driver, he's encouraging because, again, Tony can be a little bit cutting, but I need it, and it's okay. And then Robin comes along and pats me on the back and says, "You're going to do fine. Just hang in there." And he's a good encourager. But this is an excellent team. And again, I don't know if I want to promote too much, because anybody looking to drive a car, it's a great car to drive in. And there's about 4 or 5 cars that are low 520 cars and 5-teens, and I would say the high 520s, 530 car, and they're trying to get to that low 520. And so Bowling Green, they made some changes because you want to get better. And there were some struggles, but I know that if they had the budget and the ability to test and maybe a little bit newer parts we don't have to worry about them breaking, they would be right there in the 5-teens and 520s. I know it. And all those top 4 or 5 cars test all the time. They have almost unlimited money, and they're not afraid of breaking things. And the SAMSLs, they have to be able to run well and not hurt things. And, I would love to get a sponsor that comes along and pays enough, kind of like what Troy Coughlin did with the McPhillips, that really helped them. And I want to see that happen with the SAMSLs, because some teams, you give them money, it's not going to make any difference. They're not going to get any better. This team, any financial help, and like I said, I've been with them 2 years now. It's helped them because they've been able to buy things and do things, and they're getting better. And it's a great car, great team, and it is a joy to drive.
Well, folks, look, you definitely need to go follow SAMSL Racing on Instagram and Facebook and check them out. They are a jam-up group of guys and program. It's been interesting and fascinating to see. And watch out, Mike. Once I get my licenses that I want to work on, I know who I might call and check out. So, yeah.
And the reality is I would direct people towards them because I want to help them. David Sheets is going to drive their car at Dallas and Houston. And I texted on Facebook, he said, "Congratulations to me winning." And I just texted, I put it on Facebook and said, "Your turn." So he's going to be in a good car that is going to be top half of the field. It's going to go down the track every time. And when you do that, you can win any race.
Can win any race. And look, I know we're talking about your win that happened there at Worldwide Technology Raceway in a regional event, but Your performance the whole year so far has been exceptionally well. Talk to me about your year and the performance overall and where that puts you, because from what I understand, you locked up a regional championship as well. Is that correct?
Yep. Normally it's best 5 out of 7, and I can never do 7 races. That'd be the max I could do, as a pastor. And so you usually have a couple throwaway races, but this is best 4 out of 5. And usually someone has a DNQ or a first round loss. And so it helps that doesn't hinder them. But right now, everybody's got 5 races. This was my 4th. And right now we're in first place. And listen, I know full well, at the beginning of the year, if somebody would have said, wrote a list of names and said, who's the last guy that has a chance to win this, it would have been me. And so I really feel like it's the Lord blessing, giving me a platform to be able to point people to him. To me, that's what it's about. Every second of every day when I'm there at the races, I want to be a light, because it is about God's goodness. That's why I got this shirt saying God is good all the time. God is good. And as far as the performance, reaction times and qualifying, I'm focusing more on not making a mistake, staging shallow. And I can't cut a good reaction time in qualifying. But race day, I'll just tell you, I asked the Lord to help me. And I really feel like he does. And something changes. It's hard to put a finger on what it is. I think some of it is what I learned from Frank Holly. He teaches on focal point, where you're looking at the tree, having your mindset ready. And I do have 2 different mindsets, a qualifying one, and you can look and you can see it's like 0.102 lights. But in race day, the average is like 0.50, and I know that's not me. There's no way I should be doing this at this age. And but the Lord's helping me, so I give him all the credit. And let me tell you something, I couldn't do this without the Lord helping me, because before the final round of this race, I never felt so much tension, knots on my stomach, butterflies, and I was literally sick. And I just had to fill my mind with worship music, and that's where the Lord gives me his peace. And the secret to driving these cars is being calm and being relaxed. That's when you don't make a mistake. And so the Lord is the one who helps me. There's the chapel service. Hugh Goodale, Race for Christ, had a chapel service, and a young lady sung a song, and it was "My Hope Is in You," which is written by Aaron Schust. And if you go on YouTube and play that, it's an excellent song. I probably listened to it 300 times Saturday and Sunday, and definitely before the final round. And man, it was just filling my mind with this peace. My hope is in the Lord, not myself, not in anyone or anything but him. And what it does, it takes the tension off. It's like, Lord, if you want me to win this, no one can take it away. And if you don't, I don't want it. And so I had perfect peace going into that final round.
Well, glad you had peace. And it's definitely fascinating that there's some drivers out there, they want to get amped up, and there's others that they want to calm, cool, and collected. And that it's interesting that for you qualifying, it's a different mindset. You go into race day and you're on spot and doing exceptionally well. Well, look, Mike, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back to you, I know you've had to explain it a lot, but I want you to explain to the folks watching tonight about your drag racing history and your family.
Looking for the perfect do-it-yourself air suspension kit for your truck? Strutmasters has got it. Our complete heavy-duty air suspension kit comes with everything you need. It bolts right in with no modifications. You can have it all. Heavy-duty hauling and towing performance and the smooth ride you crave. Get a complete air suspension kit for your pickup at strutmasters.com or call us at 866-597-2397.
All right, folks, later on we'll have Colton Jordan on, and we'll also have Richie Stevens Jr. on. But right now, Mike Bucher. And Mike, look, it's good to have someone on the first segment, because last week my Jack Beckman, we had times mixed up, and he thought it was Pacific starting time, and it's Eastern starting time. So that got very interesting. So, again, it's a joy and a pleasure to have you. And, man, look, when people look into the range of drag racing, oftentimes they don't know the full story. They don't know that the hero card doesn't give everything. And drag racing has had an important place in your life for really all of your life. So look, clue folks in about drag racing and it in your family and the special place that it truly holds.
Yeah, well, I was 3 days old at my first drag race, and my dad, he won the last Top Gas championship with the twin-engine, front-engine cars, and then he went in the Top Fuel with a Chevy, And back then the Chevys were running like 640s and the record 612. And then he showed up at the Gator Nationals in 1973, ended up setting the ET record with a 607. And then he won a national event in 1975. But it's interesting. There's always been Chevys. There have always been a couple tenths behind the Hemis, but only one time in history was a Chevy ahead of the Hemis. He set the record. And then the U.S. Nationals, 1973, he 85 top fuel cars entered, 32 car field, and he qualified number one off the trailer with one run at a 609, and 32 cars up to 629. And so I thought I was going to drive top fuel the day I turned 18. But he died when I was 15. He was 37. It was a rare blood disease. I was devastated, but then someone shared with me what it means to ask Jesus in my heart, and I did. And a peace and a joy came into me that changed me forever. And I wanted to tell the drag racing world that message, but for 40 years, the Lord said no. And I've been a pastor 28 years. And then 4 years ago is when Antron Brown and Brian Crowdy said, hey, we're going to help you get your A-fuel license. And once I got that, I found out that you can actually bring sponsors and pay to drive people's cars. And so I put Hope Over Heroin on the side of the car. I'm promoting that ministry, which is so effective in helping guys get off addiction. And if someone wants to support something that really makes a difference, go on hopeoverheroin.com. I'd encourage you to support them. They don't pay anything for me to race. The sponsors I have do. Strutmaster is one of them. The Glosser, Clean Tool, TFC Trucking, Nelson Trucking. And I hate this when I start naming sponsors. I'm going to forget people. Mike Ashley has Realty Warehouse. And if I forget somebody, please forgive me. I shouldn't have started naming them. But all these guys they love the ministry side that I'm doing. And I'm able to talk to people dealing with addiction, and I talk to kids about not touching drugs. And so, I'm doing this for something more than racing, and to be able to do it and then actually win a race, it was like a dream come true, because God could allow me to do this and not win. And when I saw that I won and got out of that car at the race in St. Louis, I literally got on my knees, put my head on the dragster, just bawled my eyes out. And it was just like, God has been so good to me. I was devastated losing my earthly dad, but the Bible says God's a father to the fatherless. And I can honestly say that he is a good father, and he has been to me, and he's blessed me. And so, I want to honor my earthly dad, but I want to honor my heavenly dad.
Awesome, stellar, man. Well, look, your dad's car is not lost. It can be viewed. It can be seen. Tell us, where is it at?
Well, it's in Big Daddy's museum. When my dad died, Garlitz called and asked if he could have it. He said, I'm starting a museum. It was about the third car he ever got. It's been there since 1978. And right now I'm working on something really cool with Larry Mears to do a tribute A-fuel car and have it wrapped identical to my dad's car. And so if Vegas were to happen, we would do it out there. But it's in the works. It's coming. But one of these days I'm going to drive. Samsons live East Coast. It doesn't make sense for them to drive 3,000 miles West Coast. And Larry Mears is a family friend. That family let me live with him when I was 16. And so I want to do this for his dad, my dad. And again, it'll be cool to have an A-fuel car that looks exactly like my dad's top fuel car in the museum.
Man, it will. It definitely will. I have not heard that until right now, and thank you for sharing that.
Nobody's heard
it. It's breaking news right here on Between the Slicks. I like that. I like that. Dude,
it's in the works. The only variable is what races are going to end up happening, which we have no idea. So.
Okay, dude, I love it. Look, anything throwback, but then with you, your story, your dad, and really his drag racing importance, and to bring that look back and it be in A-fuel, look, that's going to be cool. That's going to be cool. Make sure I know. I want to get video and pictures and everything.
Yep, that'll be a dream. I'll probably be crying every time I'm in the car.
Right, I bet so, and understandably so, definitely. Well, man, look, there has been a lot of challenges in drag racing, overall in every corner of life in 2020 this year with COVID-19. And the pro classes, they have suffered cut after cut after cut. And then we get the context of, the NHRA, they have had, a check bounce basically from Coca-Cola. Has any of that trickled down into the Lucas Oil division? And have y'all had to take cuts? And has there been cuts to person and things of that nature? Has things been almost, other than the protocols of COVID, kind of normal?
Well, usually when you lease a car, it's in the contract that the team gets any winnings, and they still do. And as far as I know, that has not changed. I've heard possibilities of Lucas not being there. I mean, who knows what's coming. And it's a strange time. As far as the top alcohol fields, it seems like most of the cars, I mean, there's a handful of cars that travel around the country, Dwayne Shields, Jackie Frick, the Myers, Josh Hart, and they're still out racing a lot. There's some other, and there's kind of like the medium cars that don't quite go all over the country. And I see most of them. There's definitely some cars missing that would usually be out there. And I think some people are either afraid of getting the virus or not sure what the deal is. But, we've had some good races, and this is going to go down as my favorite year ever. So even though it was not a good, it'll be the COVID asterisk year, for the regional championship, but that's okay.
Yeah, folks, look, honestly, just like me, 2020 has been a year of acceleration and growth and advancement. It's been quite interesting. So, 2020 hasn't been all bad. Now, look, if you're out there and you have experienced loss, look, sorry, and God bless you. It's definitely challenging. But nonetheless, I always want to look for the silver linings, and I think they have been there so far this year and into the future.
I'm a pastor of a church, and we went through a couple months of live stream services, but now we've been meeting since end of May, and our church has never been better, never been stronger. And so I think it kind of shakes things. If something's got a bad foundation, it's not going to survive, and if it's got a good foundation, it will. And I've never felt more blessed in my life, and I think this is the greatest opportunity to point people to the Lord, because people are looking for answers. People are afraid. There's a lot of anxiety. The suicide rate has just skyrocketed in the last 6 months. And so people are looking for answers. I believe I know the answer, and he's got nail prints in his hands, and I point people to him, and I'm not the least bit shy of telling them. I tell people I'm not religious, but I'm a Jesus freak. There's a lot of messed up churches, a lot of messed up Christians, but I'm following the guy who died on the cross for me. And there's no one like him, and I can defend him all day. And so in desperate times, that's when people search for answers. And I think we're in a time like that right now.
Definitely in a time like that. Hey, we got a good answer from Justin Ashley, who is a first-time NHRA Top Fuel winner this year. He says, Mike and Lee, two of my favorite people. Oh, man, they like me. They really like me. Appreciate
Justin's
that,
awesome.
man.
Justin's awesome.
Justin.
What I like about Justin is he's humble, and he's so gifted, and yet he comes off just so down to earth. He's a sponsor's dream. And I would tell any sponsor out there, you're looking for somebody for the next 20 years, this is the next Antron. He's very good. Great attitude.
Definitely great attitude. And folks, look, with Justin, I deal with him regularly, but before the Strutmasters deal and after the Strutmasters deal with me, he's the same dude. I've just got to know him better, but he was open and willing to, give an interview. And that's for the longest time, that's all I was needing and getting. Let me have my interview. And right. He was willing to do that. And pretty cool dude. He is definitely the real deal.
What's funny is he started A-fuel a little bit ahead of me, and then he's moved on, and I learned from him. And it's funny, here he is 27, and I'm like 57, and he's the veteran, and I'm the rookie asking questions. They always tell me, I'm following in your footsteps, which means Top Fuel someday. Because listen, I'm not giving up at A-fuel. I want to drive Top Fuel still. And literally Justin, 27 years old, is an example to me, which is kind of interesting.
Cool, man. It's interesting how that works out. I know Terry Haddock, his son, was at a couple of races, the Indy races, and he's trying to get into the multimedia, social media, visual arts. And hey, I was able to learn some things from him. But look, so moral of the story, folks, always be willing to learn. Always be willing to learn. Keep a lookout, folks. Keep a lookout, folks. Mentioning Justin Ashley, we're trying to work some things out with a particular sponsor of his. We might have a pretty cool program coming out here in the future. We'll see what happens. If you hear any more, you will definitely hear it, and I'm looking forward to it. You never know what I might lose. I'll put it that way. So, folks, look, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back in, Mr. Colton Jordan. We're going to bring him in for that ADRL preview right after this word from Nhra Soap Company. Let freedom clean. Nhra Soap Company is a veteran-owned establishment that produces all-natural, essential oils-infused soap that is sold with a portion of the proceeds supporting other veteran groups. Nhra Soap Company. Heroes supporting heroes. Be a hero yourself and buy a bar and let freedom clean. I used spearmint this morning. It was a great time in the shower. No more details. No more. Colton, man, it is great to see you. Great to have you back on the show. It amazes me that people will come back on, and you're back on. I appreciate it, man.
It's an honor, man. I mean, I love getting to talk to you and love getting to hang out with you. You do a great job on Monday Morning Racer. And sorry I'm a little bit late. I forget that you're an hour ahead of me. So...
Well, look, you're not as bad as Jack Beckman. He thought it was completely a whole other start time at Pacific on the Pacific side of things. So you're good. You're good. I had to do 2 shows last week, but when you have the opportunity to interview Jack Beckman, you got to take it.
Exactly. Whatever time he comes on, hey, it's kind of like a John Force interview. You know, it might not start exactly on time, but whatever time you get with John Force is spectacular time.
Definitely. So, well, man, look, I hear cars going down the track, so I assume you are at the Motorplex there in Enos, Texas.
I am at the world-famous Texas Motorplex, Billy Myers Palace, and we are testing for the ADRL U.S. Drags here, the third stop on the 2020 Driven Automotive Protection ADRL Tour presented by Car Guard Administration. And we got some heavy hitters that have made some really good passes down the racetrack so far. So it's interesting to see what this weekend's going to be, because we're going to have high temperatures in the mid to low 70s here this weekend. So.
Wow. Well, that's definitely better than last time.
Yeah.
Wow. It was atrocious last time. It was definitely atrocious.
Yeah.
So looking forward to what the ADRL is going to put out on a show. Yeah, man. Look, straight up, what do you expect? What are your predictions? Who do you think is going to come out on top?
Well, Bubba Stanton has been making some test passes last night and today, and they've been having a problem with getting the car to make it past 60 feet. Now, Bubba made a pass about 15 minutes ago that surprised me in a good way. He made it out to about 300 feet. It shook a little bit. He stepped off of it, so they're getting that hot rod kind of lined out. That's actually a former Mississippi Missile Jason Scruggs motor underneath the hood of his beautiful butternut yellow Chevrolet Camaro. So if they ever get that finally figured out, it's going to be fast. That power of that Pro Extreme car just rattled the phone right now.
Right, just rattled the phone right down, right off. Yes, it did. It did. Awesome. Folks, so we got Colton on here. We got a few more questions for him. Richie just came into the studio. We'll have him in a few moments, and we'll bring Mike back in as well. So, Colton, look, talk to me. A big announcement was made, another class coming back to the ADRL. Talk to me over the excitement of Extreme Pro Stock, also known as Mountain Motor, one of my favorite classes of all time, coming back to the ADRL and competing for the Minuteman.
Well, so Extreme Pro Stock started in IHRA back in the day. Then it became an ADRL class. Now, the difference is just like PDRA, here at the ADRL, we will run them 8th mile. And it really worked because, Pro Nitrous runs a lot of races with the PDRA, and Pro Nitrous came from ADRL as well. It's pretty much basically where Pro Nitrous started when Kenny Nowling decided to separate the blower cars from the nitrous cars and then have Extreme Pro Stock. We will not have Pro Nitrous back as of right now. However, Extreme Pro Stock, there's a couple of them that I've heard rumors will be here testing this weekend here at the Texas Motorplex, but their official race back with the ADRL will be in St. Louis here at the end of the month. And we got a new marketing partner that come on board with ADRL and decided, hey, I want to bring back Extreme Pro Stock. Kenny Nowling was like, I have absolutely no problem with bringing Extreme Pro Stock back. And I think it works out really good for those guys because, yes, they have a select amount of races that they run with NHRA, and with PDRA. But I've been hearing for a while now that those guys have been wanting a little bit more of a schedule, a few more places to race for them. So it's exciting.
It definitely is exciting. The Mountain Motor Pro Stock gang, ever since IHRA with its pro classes went defunct, they've had a tough go of it. They really have. And I don't think they get the recognition they really should. I love those cars. I've always had a fascination with them. And I hope between PDRA and NHRA and ADRL, they get that recognition they really deserve. Because look, somebody needs to hurry up and do something with Johnny Pacino. The kid's running away with it. I mean, the king of Mountain Motor Pro Stock.
So I got to see Johnny when he was at the Shakedown Nationals with one of his buddies. And I asked him, I was like, man, what is it going to take for somebody to take you out? And he goes, I guess it's just a little bit more speed than us. But he was like, because I definitely am not the best driver out there. He said, but we got a fast car. And I don't know if Johnny Pacino and them are going to be at ADRL St. Louis. However, I do know that there is a guy by the name of John DeFlorian, who is a former IHRA Mountain Motor Pro Stock World Champion and former NHRA National Event winner in Mountain Motor Pro Stock, that will be on property because it'll be right back in his backyard of St. Louis.
All right, there we go. Announcement here on Between the Slicks Monday Morning Racer. Darrell Craft, yes, ADRL is only 8th mile, but he's asking why. Colton, so why is the reason? What's the purpose of that? Why do the teams enjoy the 8th mile?
So, for one thing, it's easier on parts because you're not running the car as hard as you would because a quarter mile, you have to run it 2 8 miles. So, if you can run the car only the first 8th mile, it saves a lot on parts. These cars, running them out the back door through the quarter mile, would run over 270 miles an hour. And some of these guys don't have – I'm not going to say they have bad parts and pieces. I'm going to say they don't have grade A, state-of-the-art equipment. So for them, like Kenny Nowling put it perfectly, Von Smith, back in the day, drove his Pro Extreme car through the quarter mile. It blew the injector off the car, and it landed 300 feet away from where the car initially gave way. So it's a big safety thing. The reason why ADRL runs 8th mile, and that's what we're about. ADRL also has a rule where when a driver is doing a burnout, you cannot stand in front of the car. Richard Freeman wouldn't like that too much, but it's because we've seen bad things happen. Whenever something safety-wise comes up, like why NHRA makes the decisions that they do and why ADRL makes the decisions they do, is because something has happened along the way somewhere, and somebody has seen, we can fix this, we can make this better. And so ADRL has always run 8th mile because it's just a safety thing. These cars are making upwards of 5,000 horsepower sometimes, and they don't really like when you run them that hard.
Right. And even in the 8th mile, I mean, we saw at Texas, I mean, round 1, things got pretty wild with one car getting all crossed up, going in the other lane, collecting another car. There were engines explosions. I mean, yeah, it's even in the 8th, it's tough.
Yeah, and see, if that would have happened at the quarter mile, we would have been talking about an entirely different story, And so thank God that Jeffrey Cummings and Randy Merrick were both okay after that little wad up they had. But like I said, if that had been at 270 miles an hour, we might not be standing here talking about Randy Merrick and Jeffrey Cummings are okay.
All right. Well, look, I'm going to bring Mike back in. Mike, look alive, man. We're bringing you back on in. And look, guys, this is the question that I've got for both of you. So the 2021 NASCAR schedule was announced, and NASCAR just shook it up. And I love it. Dirt is going back on Bristol. So what is something that you would like to see the NHRA do at the pro level far as schedule? Mike, I'll let you go first on this one.
Wow. Well, as far as I'm concerned, in the big picture, drag racing still comes down to nitromethane. I know there's other classes, and I was just hearing a lot about some other really neat classes. But for me, there's still nothing in any of motorsports that compares to 11,000 horsepower nitromethane, the ground shaking. It's beyond the sound decibels your internal organs move. And so the bottom line for NHRA is they got to keep those cars out there, which means they've got to, somehow make it either more affordable, as in limiting the rules, or paying them more. But if Nitro were to leave or to be to where it's like an exhibition car, 8-car field, there's nothing. NHRA is nothing. I mean, it's just the bottom line. It's still about Top Fuel and Funny Car, and we gotta get those cars out there. So the schedule, I mean, 22 races, that's a lot. I think some of the teams would probably like to be less races, but I don't know about the schedule. You just gotta somehow make it so that there's more than 16 Top Fuel and Funny Cars there, because that's what most people come for, to see them. There's nothing like it, and so anything that will get more, get those, make it so more cars can be there, I guess. But I don't know what that answer is.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, more cars in those fields. I like that answer. That would be great to see. Colton, you've been to a lot of drag racing events, a lot of different associations. So what's something NHRA could pull in to liven things up and move into the future with?
That's really a tough one, because I mean, there's not a lot of things that haven't been tried or haven't been done in some kind of way. However, I would really like to see what NHRA was talking about doing it this year, and COVID kind of come in and shook things up a bit. I would like to see Top Fuel and Funny Car go back to a quarter of a mile at just a couple of select races. I think changing it up a little bit. I also think that another thing that could shake it up is, let's do either a chip draw, for first round, like we did at the Door Slammer Nationals in Orlando for pro stock, and I think that would bring a little bit to it. I think what has needed to happen for a long time, and Andy Carter, the general manager of the Texas Motorplex, has a sign hanging up in his office that says, "This is how we've always done it," are some of the most dangerous words in all of business. And I think NHRA, it's time for a reshuffle of how the ladder stacks up. I think no longer should the number 16 qualifier have to face the fastest car on property in first round. I think that would help line the pockets of those smaller teams just a little bit more, say if they got to face the number 8 qualifier, or however a reshuffling would work. I think that would drastically help those smaller budget teams, and I think it would bring a little bit more excitement, a few more upsets, and it would really give those higher budget teams, those teams that have the field covered by 3 or 4 hundredths of a second at this race, I think they would have to work just that much harder, and it would make the championship a harder thing to secure.
Some good ideals there, some good ideals. I like what Sam's saying. Friday night and Saturday night, throwback nights, music and what we all love, small time tracks. Look, I definitely want to see a throwback weekend in the NHRA like what Darlington's doing with the Southern 500. I think NHRA is even better grounds for it than what NASCAR does. So I definitely want to see it. Richie, can you hear us down there? Give me a wave if you can. Cool. Well, folks, look, we're going to bring Richie Stevens on in just a few moments after this video introduction, if I can find it. There it is. Richie, man, look, it's good to have you on. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, man. How about you?
I'm doing great. Look, man, it's truly an honor. I know we hadn't got to talk much at the races because I'm so often with the fuel cars because there's so many Strutmaster fuel cars. But look, when I was doing your dragsters and a little bit before then, I was a Richie Stevens Jr. fan. I mean, I remember the Roy Hill days in the car, and I mean, everybody impressed with the lights. I mean, I was a fan, dude. So it is awesome to have you on the show. Thank you for being on. But you might not have been a fan of your Gators because you had a very interesting Q1 for sure. Yeah.
That first run out there was quite eventful for me. We made the run, and I guess, and it's nobody's fault. Just we were rushing up there to try to get the run in, and the air bottle was turned on, but the switch wasn't turned on the correct way. And so, needless to say, I had no shift light, I had no shocks, I had no parachutes, and took up every bit of the racetrack to get it stopped down there. So it was quite an eventful run, that first one, but we came back around it to get it fixed and get back up there for Q2.
Yeah, thank God it wasn't Pomona, and it was instead Gainesville, for sure, for sure.
I said that. I said that multiple times to people.
Right. Now, with Beaver Motorsports, they've been working things out, they've been massaging things, but honestly, it's there. It's just been these little bugs. I mean, there's been a couple times should have already been in the show. So, what are your thoughts on Beaver Motorsports, the strutmasters.com Pro Stocker, and where potentially y'all can be?
I mean, I think the car is definitely capable. I mean, we went to Indy. I'd never sat in a car before until we got there for Q1, and honestly, our best run at Indy was the first run, the fastest run, I should say. Had we had the setup in the car for the first run that we had in the second run on Saturday morning, we probably would have snuck in the field there. But I think we were just one run too late. One run behind the 8 ball, getting the car down the track. But just getting me suited in the car, and I had Rob Tucker helping us out, Larry Morgan as well. So it was effort by all was had, but we just came up a little short. And I think in Florida, we just had some electronic issues, with the shift lights. So the power's there. The car is definitely capable of being in the field. I know I can get it there. I know that they can provide me with the car. We just need everything to fall in sync and all of us hit it together.
Definitely, man. So, K&M Motorsports says, big fan of Richie, met him at US 133. So you definitely got some fans out there. I know fans are great. They're excited to see you back out there because there's been ebbs and flows, obviously, in your career. So, where you're at now, recently married, if I remember correctly. So, life going good, things working out. Where do you hope as a driver that you can get to and be at and maybe even normalize?
We're going to finish out the year. We're going to go to Dallas in a couple of weeks with Beaver Motorsports and with Chip Lawson and Strutmaster. So we're going to finish out the year there, and I guess we'll see what goes on for next year. I just made 42 this past Sunday. I've been doing this for 25, almost 30 years now. So it's been an eventful road. I could write a book and with many chapters on the experiences and the people I've met over the years. But we'll see what goes on with this whole COVID thing and next year's schedule with NHRA. But I'm always up to drive anything. I mean, I've driven the pro stock trucks, the pro mod cars, pro stock all over the map. So just hearing that pro stock's going back to ADRL. So if there's an open seat somewhere, I'm willing to jump in at any time. I can't commit to a real, long time duty out there running all of the races because I have a commitment here at home with the shop with my salvage yard to fulfill. So it's hard to take time away from that, but I'm always itching to get behind the wheel.
Folks, you just heard it. If you got a mountain motor with an open seat, Richie can fill it for sure, and you'd have a good driver. Yeah, I got to ask, man, when you were coming up in the ranks, you were the kid, and how hard has it been to get away from that nickname, or do you still take it as a badge of honor, or, what's your thoughts on it all these years later?
Well, I mean, every once in a while, some people call me that. I got my neighbor that lives right up the street. He's become a really good friend of mine, and that's all he does is call me the kid. So it's stuck with me, even though I am 42. But I feel like I lost it a couple years back when some of the younger ones came in behind me, the Vincent Nobile and Tanner Gray and some other ones that came in that was younger, Aaron Stanfield. So I mean, there's younger ones that's out there. There's younger ones going to come behind them. So hopefully it continues on. And but I feel like. I mean, I don't know if I was the first one to ever be called a kid, but as far as my memory serves, I am. But I don't know if I take the cake on it.
Well, man, look. Speaking of kids, there's another generation coming into pro stock right now. You got Kyle, the Kid Chaos Koretsky. You've got Coughlin. You've got Mason. So right now of the young talent that's out there, your estimation, like who's the wheelman? Who's the top guy?
I tell you what, I mean, the ones that are out there right now are looking really good. I mean, the Coughlins, it's in their blood to be good drivers. So Troy's, I just feel like, he's driven Top Fuel, he's driven A-fuel dragster, he's just super comp cars. I mean, no matter what he gets behind the wheel, he wins, and it's only a matter of time before he gets his first win. I mean, Mason Magaha, I've only got to see him drive at 2 races, but he's impressive, and I've heard from people on his crew of how good of a driver he is. So I don't see a trophy coming to his future pretty soon as well. But Kyle Koretsky, I mean, look at his dad, only guy to qualify Top Fuel and Pro Stock at the same race. I mean, it's all in these kids' genes to do well, and I wish them the best out there, and I hope that they have a long career ahead of them.
Oh, man, folks, look at Stevie bringing out the obscure trivia on Mr. Koretsky. Yes, the only man to do that. Very, very cool stat. That's something I would like to see Kyle actually do, match up his dad on that feat. That'd be cool.
That'd be really cool. I mean, I've had the experience to drive with Kenny. I've ran a couple races for him back in late 2008, 9, 10ish, I guess. So I've hung around with Kenny quite a bit. Watched Kyle grow up. There's a couple years I was around. So great family, and I'm glad to see Kyle out there doing well. And he's got a great car, got a great power plant from KB. So there's no reason why he shouldn't hold one in Wally soon.
All right. Well, Richie, hang on just a few moments. We're going to bring everybody back in time, and we're going to let Mr. Jordan have a few moments of handling the show here. So, folks, look, please, in the comments section, tell us what schedule changes you'd like to see in the NHRA. Talk to us about what you would like to hear from Richie, Mike, or Colton himself. I'm going to bring them all in one by one. I've never had 4 people on at one time. Oh, it worked. Wow. I love StreamYard. I love what it's doing. So, Colton, man, look, I'm going to give you some time on here. You know how to do this thing just as good, if not better than me. You got more experience at it with Speed Vision and being the voice of the ADRL. So, man, fire away. Who you got first on the question in line?
That's going to be a tough one. I got to go with Mike. I just can't imagine, man. I know how we got to talk last year at the divisional here in Division 4 at the Texas Motorplex, and your heart and your passion for wanting to win, wanting to do good in top alcohol dragster, it's got to be so satisfying, so God-given for you to be able to take home that championship, that regional championship for your team in top alcohol dragster. I just want to know, man. Oh, car didn't shift. Sorry, guys. ADRL Pro Extreme. They're a little loud.
It's okay.
So, Mike, I got to ask you, man. Has it sank in yet?
Well, I feel like I'm watching someone else, and it's like living a dream. When we got in the winner's circle, and the guy from Division 3, he's really neat. I can't remember his name now. But he walks over and hands me the trophy. My first thought was, you're giving this to the wrong person, and it just, like you said, it doesn't feel real. And it just, what's interesting, there was a runner that I idolized, Eric Little, and he had his Olympic runner, Chariots of Fire movie. They said he had more joy over watching other people happy about him winning than his own joy. And you know what? That's true. Seeing the crew happy. I'm a pastor of a church. They actually played final round race to our whole church on Sunday. And, I see everybody else, my kids, my grandkids, so happy. And it's like, and I remember praying, Lord, let this be for other people. Let this bless other people, make me a blessing to them. And so that's the real joy. It just, I had a son, Danny, there. He didn't even want to go. He's number 11. I got 14 kids, and he's number 11. He's 19. And he didn't even want to come. And then he was there and he got to be there for the win. And I'm like, you glad you came, Danny? And he was glad. And so, seeing other people happy over this has been the biggest joy. But it does feel like I'm watching somebody else,
That's awesome.
Go ahead, Colton. Got one for Richie?
Richie, man. I've never gotten to meet you. I think I might have got your autograph when I was a little kid, back, one of these days. But so ADRL Extreme Pro Stock, what are your thoughts? Because you're no stranger to the big inch mountain motor, pro stock cars as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, I enjoyed it. I drove ADRL back in, I think it was 11 and 12 or 12 and 13. And, was lucky enough to win the belts there at Ennis Motorplex. So I've had some success there when I raced with Mark Ekman in the Car Safe car. So I'm glad to see him come back. Kenny Nolan, I've known him for a long time, and I'm glad to see him get it all together and get the show on the road. So yeah, I'd be open to coming back and driving anytime. Those mountain motor cars have always been one of my favorites. I mean, it's where I got my start back when I was the kid. So I've enjoyed driving them over the years, and it's good to see another young one, Johnny Placino, who I'm actually good friends with. So glad to see him do well out there, and it needs to happen. And I like your idea of the 1 in 9 qualifiers taken on. I think that's something that should be experiment it somewhere and see how that works. So that gives the lower budget teams a chance. And I agree with you 100% on that.
Awesome.
Hey, if Richie is endorsing you, that's pretty good. I mean, that's pretty good right there. It definitely is. Definitely is. So,
Yeah,
look, Richie.
I think Richie needs to strap in something that burns nitro.
Oh, there it is. It's out of there. It is. There it is.
What you drive, listen, I already know what you drive is probably harder, but there is something about when that A-fuel car switches over to nitro and that thing starts shaking. There's something about that that's a little bit unnerving.
I'm sure. Back in 2000, I think it was either 6 or 7, I was about this close to getting my license in Selzy's funny car, and they had that that restriction on the fuel and the testing back whenever it was. I can't remember, but I had my suit. Schumacher told me to get my suit, get everything ordered. I had everything ready to go, and that's when they put that restriction on. So I was about that close to it, but never got a chance.
My goal is top fuel, and I've been real close a couple of times, and I stay fit and healthy. I do triathlons, and the goal is someday. I told Tony Schumacher I want to go over 300 miles an hour in less than 4 seconds, at least one time. And he goes, "No, you don't." I go, "What do you mean?" He says, "Once won't be enough. Exactly. Once you do it, you want to do it more."
You'll be hooked. You'll be hooked for sure.
Oh, I can only imagine. I mean, just me filming these cars, I'm like, oh, I want to be at the line more. I want to go to the line more and film these things. I don't want to get off the line now. So I've definitely been spoiled. Praise the Lord. So look, Richie, you've been in Pro Mod, obviously. Pro Mod, where it is at in the NHRA and elsewhere, and you can also chime in on this one, Colton. Look, these cars are doing some wild things once they get out of shape. Is it time for things to change in the class and with the cars and other things be implemented for driver safety?
I mean, I think that those if they were to get away from the automatic shifter, because I know that bites a lot of people. It bit me in Charlotte on Monday after the national event in 18. I was testing on Monday, and then I didn't lift quick enough, and when I did lift, it shifted gears, and guess what? Here came the wall. So, and I've watched other people do it. I've watched Ricky Smith do it. I've watched a bunch of guys with an automatic shifter. So I think if they went back to the clutch setup, got away from the automatic, and I know it's easier for teams to set up, it's more consistent, but it takes the driver out of the race car. I mean, when you have a clutch pedal and you have to shift it on time, that makes the driver part of the program. Right now, these Pro Mod cars, all of them included turbos, nitrous, the injected. The Pro Charger, all of them, you stage like over a button and it shifts automatic. And I'm not downplaying it at all, but I think, the way it used to be a couple years back, the driver was in the car. You had to let go of a clutch pedal. You had to shift on time. You had to control RPMs and a burnout. I mean, there was so many variables that made the outcome of the race different. And now if the car is just set up fine, if you hold the wheel straight, you get a win light. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not taking any credit away from a driver, but I've been in the seat of one, and I don't like it. So I do like the speed of it, but I would much rather have a clutch pedal and some levers.
Yeah, I mean, for me, put the clutch back in everything and take away throttle stops. I mean, I just, it would revolutionize drag racing once again. It'd be awesome to see. Awesome to see. Colton, look, you've seen a lot of Pro Mods in your days. What's your thoughts? What needs to happen in the class?
Kind of what Richie said. I've talked to multiple guys that said they would not step foot in a Pro Mod car again unless it had a clutch pedal in it. They said it's unreal how quick it can get away from you, and there's really nothing you can do about it. He's like, if the tire, and the guy that I was talking to, he said, the tires are spinning down there, and it shifts. It's over with. You can't shove the clutch pedal back in and save it like you used to could. It's over. And I think that's what we've seen a lot, lately with, these Pro Mod cars crashing and everything, is that there's just, it takes a quicker reaction time to catch it now than what it used to when you still have the clutch pedal in it.
Interesting perspective. I've always thought of the clutch pedal coming back in to be something almost even fan friendly and, bringing up some different outcomes and putting more in the driver's hand. But I never thought of it from a safety perspective. That's quite interesting. And it makes sense. The automatic shifter, look, it's going to do its thing. It can't tell where the car is and what the driver's doing or what is needed in that moment, like a driver actually can. So that's fascinating. Put the clutch back in for safety reasons. That's a good argument. Maybe we'll win with that one.
And then you'll separate a lot of, like Richie was saying, you'll separate a lot of the drivers from the guys that just want to smile and look pretty at the camera.
Right. Which is like, please.
Correct.
We need to do that. We need to do that. Look, I like my drivers ugly and drive. That's what I like. That's what I like. I like that they're ugly and they drive. I mean, that's what it used to be. Now you got to have a smiling face and everything's got to be just right. And they're wearing Invisalign. Yeah, no. Dirty, ugly, and they can drive. That's what we need. That's what we need again in drag racing.
Jungle Jim.
There we go. I mean, yeah, he built a whole career on it. There we go. I mean, yeah, you look at some of these drag racers back in the day. I mean, I
think Jungle Jim's hair stayed singed more than anything else from all the crazy stuff he used to do. That guy's definitely not getting on the cover of Drag Illustrated magazine anytime soon.
No. I mean, look, let's take the best, well-known, big drag racer in the world, John Force. He's not the poster child for anything. I'm sorry, folks. He's not, except for drag racing. And that's the model. That's what we need. That's what we need. That's why I wear my shades and have my beard.
You see why?
Right. Oh, so guys, look, we're getting near the end of this thing. So last word, last call. We're in the shutdown area. The chutes are popped on this. So I'm going to let Mike go first. Mike, last word for people watching the show and your competitors and fans. Anything you got to say to anyone out there in the drag racing world?
I guess the testimony of my life being able to do this is just God is good. And no matter what you're going through, he's faithful, he's good, you can trust him. And the Lord's given me a platform to point people to him. It's a fun platform. I love Nitro. I love going 275 miles an hour. I'm actually starting to want to do a pro mod as I'm listening to these guys. But you know what? My life is drag racing is a platform to point people to him. So that's what I want to do.
All right. Thank you, man, for your time. Mike, we'll catch up with you later, whatever your next race is. What is that next race, real quick?
If Las Vegas happened, I would do that. Maybe a chance for Houston, maybe Gainesville. There's a chance for maybe one more race. We'll see.
Okay, cool. Maybe one more race here in 2020. Well, man, thank you for your time. We'll catch up with you later.
Thank you.
All right, Colton, man, look, thank you for the ADRL preview. I hope y'all have a great event out there at the Texas Motorplex. Your last thoughts, last words here on Between the Slicks, man.
Well, this is going to be a great weekend. I want to thank you, Monday Morning Racer, the man himself, for allowing me to come on here and talk a little bit about ADRL and everything. But ADRL, the third stop out of 4 this year for the ADRL 2020 ADRL Tour presented by Car Guard Administration. Frankie Taylor's on racetrack right now, and this is going to be a fast weekend. I don't know if we'll see 50s. I've asked a couple of crew chiefs that are walking around. They say even though temperatures are going to be cooler, the humidity is still going to be there, so they're not sure if 50s will be here this weekend. But I just want to say, if you're within 2,000 miles of the Texas Motorplex, you need to be here because this is going to be a great race. We have 30 Pro Extreme cars that are committed to coming to the U.S. Drags here at the Texas Motorplex, so it's going to be a fantastic show. Kind of like Mike said, I don't use my platform as much as I probably should, but what I want to do is I want to appeal to the young people. Yes, I'm only 19 years old, believe it or not. So my saying, the one that I have tattooed on my arm, it says, "No matter how discouraged, chase your dreams." It says, "No matter how discouraged, chase your dreams," and that's a big thing that a lot of people aren't hearing enough. Young people aren't hearing enough now because it is tough. I mean, I've had to sleep on couches, I've had to sleep on floors, and I've had to eat Vienna sausages in order to make it to the next race. But thank God that He never lets you down, and God is good all the time, and all the time God is good, and so. We're going to have a great event here at the ADRL U.S. Drags at the Texas Motorplex. And, if you guys are within 2,000 miles of the track, come on out. It'll $20 a carload, as many as you can safely fit in your vehicle.
All right, folks, you need to get to the U.S. Drags there at the Texas Motorplex. The voice of the ADRL, Mr. Colton Jordan himself. Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you.
All right, Richie, look, man, last words from you, competitors, fans, state of drag racing, hopes, dreams, anything, whatever's on your heart, mind, man, it's your turn.
I mean, I just want to, tell the fans out there to come out and support NHRA. I mean, through this whole COVID thing, I know it's been tough on a lot of people out there, but, to keep supporting the fans, keep supporting the racers and the organization and as well as the ADRL getting back on their feet out there, come out and support them. But, just want to take this opportunity to thank Mark Beaver and Chip Lofton for giving me the opportunity to drive their car at the past couple of races. It's been a fun experience, getting to know both of them. And unfortunately, we haven't had the results that we wanted. We'll keep pushing forward, and we'll go on to the next race. We'll go to Dallas and actually be there in a couple of weeks. And hopefully we'll turn the program around, get in the show, and maybe go a couple of rounds on Sunday. And who knows? I mean, we'll see what it brings for next year. And like I said, I got my bag of clothes. I got my suit, my helmet. I'm always willing to travel. So I'll be there wherever you need me. So thanks to all the fans for supporting everything, and hope to see you soon.
Well, folks, there it is. His bag is packed and his wheel is coming with him. He's ready to race. Richie, look, thank you for your time. Hopefully see you at the track soon. And, get you on camera there finally. Take care, man.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you, man.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, folks, that's been Between the Slicks with yours truly, the Monday Morning Racer. Thank you again to Mike Bucher, Colton Jordan, Richie Stevens Jr. for the time being on the show. Scott, man, thank you for saying great show, guys. I appreciate it. Sam, thank you for saying great one, Lee. I appreciate it, man. This was a great show. I had all my guests. Wow. Such a wonderful and beautiful thing. Folks, I'm going to end with this. I want to say that I believe drag racing, even though we are in this 2020 crazy COVID, Corona, China virus year, I believe drag racing is alive and well. You hear such as the Funny Car Chaos upping their purses. You hear of the NHRA. Yes, I know they've had to slash things. They've got a big overhead. And I know they've lost a series sponsor, but there's rumors before even the Camping World stuff that they had one ready to go for 2021. Look at the Gators. The Gators was packed under what is the capacity that they were able to have with the COVID restrictions, and great storylines in drag racing. And matter of fact, my in review is going to be coming out soon on the YouTube channel on the Gators. I think drag racing is alive and well, and I think we've got many more years to look forward to great drag racing. And look, I hope you're right there with me right here again on Between the Slicks. Don't got a clue who I'm going to have next week, but be right here once again, Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hey, whoever I've got, we'll yak it up on drag racing, life, and take your questions because you make the show the best part. You're the best part about it. Thank you, guys. I'm out.